Welcome to another set of video notes. Today we're going to move on to 1.4 and we're going to look at how do you rewrite formulas and equations. So that's our general topic. Hopefully, looking at these three equations, you go, oh, wait a minute, those have lots of letters in it. Those aren't just a regular equation, they're actually a formula. So this one, hopefully you've seen this before, it's distance equals rate, or your speed, times time. I'm hoping at least some of you remember this from last year. You did, that's great. It's the area of a triangle. Area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. Now, if you can remember this one, it's really good. So what I'll ask you to do is write down what it's the formula for. I'm not going to tell you, and when I come around to check your notes, if you know what this area formula is and you point it out to me, I'll give you a bonus point. But it does have some H's and it has some B's. The B's are referring to bases, just like up here, and the H. I'm going to make that disappear, that's probably not important. Notice whatever shape it is, it has two bases, so that's why we talk about B of 1 and B of 2. Okay? Now, you're going to be asked to solve a formula for a specific variable, and that's really not that much harder than anything you've done before. One thing I'm going to always point out is underline the variable you want to get by itself. Okay? So in this first example, we're going to do these examples right here. I want to get the R by itself. So I'm going to kind of underline that. And the question you should ask yourself is, well, what's with the R right now? Well, there's a T, and I'm multiplying between them. So if I want to undo it, just like we did the last set of homework, how do you get rid of that T? Oh, you guys all know, you divide by T. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So you've got D over T equals R. Now I'm sure a lot of you go, well, that looks like a mess. You have a fraction now, you got all these letters running around. Most of your answers will look like a mess, okay? If it looks messy, you probably did a great job. Let's go on to the next one. We're doing area of a triangle, and this time I want you to solve for H. So I'm going to underline that. And maybe it would even be better to kind of circle it than underline it. Maybe the lines are going to confuse you. What's with the H? Well, there's a B and there's a 1/2, and we want to get rid of that. How do you get rid of the 1/2? Well, we're multiplying here, and some of you will say, well, let's divide by 1/2. But that's a fraction, right? Is there a trick you can do with fractions? Oh, I knew you all would know that. You're going to multiply each side by 2, or in other words, the reciprocal. So now this is gone. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Okay, so now let's rewrite this. It's getting a little messy. We've got 2 times A equals B times H. Well, we wanted H by itself. So what do we need to get rid of? Oh, only the B. What's going on between the B and the H? They're just squished together. You're right, that's multiplying. So do the opposite, which is division. This is all gone, and now I'm going to draw an arrow. You are left with 2 times the area divided by the base equals the height. Good job. Okay, we've got one more like this. Kind of similar, but notice a little bit more going on. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do, this is going to be crazy, but you can handle it, I'm sure. We are going to solve for B2. Okay, well, there's a lot going on in this equation. And you have some choices what you're going to do first. I think if I were you, I'd get rid of this 1/2 because, you know, fractions are pretty scary. So, same trick that we did before. You could divide by 1/2, since these are all multiplying. Or, instead of dividing by a fraction, let's multiply by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 1/2? Oh, you guys were good. It's 2. All right. Now, this is gone, and we're left with 2A equals H times B1 plus B2. Okay? Well, I need to get B2 by itself, but where do you notice it is? Ah, for the love, it's in parentheses. So you've got to get rid of those. What does it mean to have something in front like this? You're going to have to distribute. So h times b1 is just hb1. H times b2 is just h times b2. All right? We're getting closer. Remember, our goal is to get this guy by itself. So do we get rid of the h that's with it or the hb1? Well, if you remember, we're kind of working backwards. So we're going through order of operations backwards. We need to get rid of this. How do you get rid of something you're adding? Oh, you're right. You're going to subtract it. And once again, our rule is what you do to one side, you do to the other. Okay? So now this is gone, and we're left with 2a minus h times b1 equals hb2. We are almost done. Hang in there. We wanted to get b2 by itself. Well, what's with it? An h, okay? And what are we doing between them? You're right, we're multiplying, so we need to divide by h on each side. And now, once again, very messy looking problem, but we've got 2 times the area minus the h times b1 all over the h, and you're done. The messier it probably looks, the more correct you are. Okay, so we've practiced that with formulas, and some of you might say, why would I ever want to do that? Well, if you're just looking for the height, and you know the area and the base, you can use this directly. Or put it in the old way and solve, I don't care, either way. But let's go on to something else that is going to be really important for the rest of this year. You are going to have to get y by itself. Now, if you think back to Algebra 1, when y was by itself, you had a nice linear equation. Okay? So that's what we're going to practice today. We want to solve for y, and then your book likes to have you practice evaluating, or that's the fancy word for plug in. So, this one doesn't look bad at all. What's with the y right now? A minus 6x. How do you get rid of it? Add it to both sides, and you get y equals. Now, here's a question. Can you combine the 7 and the 6x? Well, of course you can't. They're not like terms. You have to keep them separate. But look, we're done. Y is by itself. You did it. If I was being really strict and say I told you I wanted it in a specific form, I'd probably list that x term first. Okay? The other part of these problems, you're going to plug in a 2. So where do we put the 2? Well, in place of the x. So order of operations is going to help us. Do we multiply or add first? Multiply. Wonderful. So it's 12 plus 7, and you get 19, and now you are done with the problem. These are almost easier than that other set, even though they'll come later in the homework. Let's try this one. A little more going on here. We've got 3x plus 2y equals 12. You've got to get that y by itself. So there's a 2 with it and a 3x. Do you all know what you're going to get rid of first? Yeah, the 3x, because we are adding it. Remember that opposite of the order of operations? All right, we're left with 2y. We've got 12 minus 3x. Okay, what's with the 2y? 2. And how are we going to get rid of that 2? Do we subtract it? No, you're right. You divide by it. So you get, now, let's actually do this. What is 12 divided by 2? 6. Oh, this one doesn't go so well. Guess what? It's a fraction, and they aren't that scary. Okay? And we can do the same thing that we did over here and switch it around, put the x first. Notice what sign's right in front of it? Oh, a negative. So we need to make sure that the negative stays with it. What sign's in front of the 6? Nothing, so it must be positive. Okay, now we can do this. We can plug our x equals 2. Now this will bother some of you. It just looks icky. You do this one in 2 ways. You can go and say, oh, it's like a fraction, the 2's are gone. Or put in your calculator, negative 3 divided by 2 times 2. Either way, you're going to get negative 3 plus 6, and your answer is 3. Okay, please don't forget to do the 2 parts. Last problem, you're almost done. Okay? This one is not going to turn out to have this nice little linear equation. It gets a little more complex, but that's okay. Notice we have two terms with y in them, and we still want to get y by itself. Hey, could we like undistribute? Could we pull the y out? And if you say 4y divided by y, what are you left with? Yeah, 4. If you say negative xy divided by y, you get negative x. And then it equals 28. Now remind us, what's going on right here? Yeah, multiplying. So to get rid of it, you're going to divide by that whole expression. Looks pretty nasty. Really not all that bad, because this is gone, and you've got y equals 28 over 4 minus x. Now before, you had just one thing on the bottom. You could divide it up between the terms. Here you've got two things, so just let's leave it like this, okay? You can't break it up. Don't forget, we have to evaluate, or I say evaluate, you think plug in. So we're going to plug that 2 in, and that gives us 28 over 4 minus, not x, no, you're going to write a 2. And let's see, what is 4 minus 2? Oh, I bet you could do that even without your calculator. And maybe you can even do this without your calculator. 28 divided by 2 is 14, and you are done. I'll see you the next class period. I'll be looking for your bonus answer, and I'll be ready to help you do your exercises. Bye.